This is a closed caption mic check. Closed caption mic check, looking for captions. I see captions, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. And welcome back for 2026, our first board meeting of the new year. The time is now 9:30. I am Janae Hanslick, Vice Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. Chair Kelly will be a little late this morning, so you have me until he gets here. I'm now officially calling to order the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Johnson County, Kansas. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Kelly is absent.
All are present, so please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you again for being at our meeting today, both those who are here in person and those who are online. I'd first like to ask if you could join me in silencing any cell phones or other noise-making devices for the benefit of all. And before we begin today's agenda, I want to note that today we are launching a new pilot structure for our board meetings. Through July, the board will be implementing a bi-weekly, that's every other week, meeting structure designed to enhance efficiency and better utilize our time together. So here's how it will work. We will alternate between two types of Thursday meetings. We'll still be meeting every Thursday at 9:30, but the first type of meeting will be an administrative business meeting. And these meetings will focus on procedural and routine administrative items such as minutes, appointments, and time-sensitive matters. And what this will do is give the board more time for committee of the whole and study sessions on those days. The second type, which is what we'll have today, is an action agenda meeting. And these meetings will address major items like public hearings, contracts, budget matters, planning, zoning, and other significant county business. So what are the benefits of this structure? First of all, agendas for the action meetings will be posted 10 days in advance, providing more time for review of upcoming items. Meetings will be more streamlined, hopefully, with similar items grouped together. And as I mentioned, all the meetings will continue every Thursday at the regular time of 9:30 in this room. Today's meeting, as I mentioned, is an action agenda, and next week will be an administrative business meeting. So moving forward, we'll continue with this pattern, alternating between action meetings and administrative business meetings. At the end of July, at the end of the pilot project period, the board and staff will evaluate the effectiveness of this new structure and make any necessary adjustments. And our goal, again, is to conduct county business more efficiently while ensuring complete transparency and public access. Chief Counsel, is there anything you'd like to add before we proceed to the rest of today's agenda?
No, Vice Chair, thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will now turn to our public comment portion of the agenda for speakers to address the commission on any business which does not later appear on the agenda. If you do wish to speak on an action item, you are asked to please register in advance to speak on that action item. If you do speak on an action item, you'll be asked to refrain during this general comment section. When you come to the podium, please state your name and, where you live. Comments are limited to 2 minutes, and there's a clock that will appear on the screen to assist you with that time limit. If you happen to go beyond the 2-minute limit, I'm required to ask you to conclude your comments. We ask that members of the public refrain from remarks that are personally offensive, impertinent, profane, or slanderous, and to refrain from the use of offensive or indecorous language that insults or demeans any person. I will be required to give you a warning should that occur. And so at this point, we take comments both virtually and in person, and I understand we have a virtual commenter today. And if the clerk could connect us with that person, we'll be glad to take her comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I'm Ashcraft. Thank you very much. Okay, my name is Cassie Woolworth. Welcome to 2026. Thank you all for coming back. Thanks for what you did in 2025. I loved 2025 because we expanded housing assistance and homeless support. We gave the senior and disabled veteran property tax relief. We did eviction mediation, which I find to be just the most amazing project. Thank you, thank you. And we opened warming and cooling centers. We also expanded MedAct and added the Sunflower Fire Station. You can tell this is not rehearsed. And we added 21 positions at Johnson County Mental Health, an adult crisis stabilization center, and expanded the 988 hotline. We did adult drug treatment court and behavioral court. We are making a difference in Johnson County, and it is because of all of you lovely commissioners that we were able to do all of these wonderful things. Going forward, I don't have a lot of notes for 26 yet, I'm sure, but I really would like you to focus on putting a resolution together like Prairie Village did in December, asking for expanded language access to the ballot. There is no reason we should not have Spanish ballots throughout Kansas. So anyway, a resolution from the Board of County Commissioners would be lovely. And then the second thing, I'm probably just going to have this forever, is please turn the JOCO letters around. They're backwards. They sit there and they're backwards. We have such a great space there. If you could just work on turning those letters around, that's all I've got. One recommendation, can you put the timer on screen for everybody? I can't see it and I'm just winging it. But thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Woolworth. I guess everything is a matter of perspective, so thank you. In person, we now have we have 4 people signed up to speak in person. Are we ready for those folks? Okay, I'd first like to invite Mr. Brian Perkins to the podium.
Good morning. Cool, thank you. Good morning, Brian Perkins here. I currently reside in Olathe, Kansas, and I'm homeless. I don't disagree with Cassie Woolworth. We've done great things. I'm not going to discredit any successes. I think we know there's still work to be done. It's too often that I hear faith communities need to step up. Churches have stepped up. I'll tell you, my temporary home is my church. They also invited a 67-year-old man that has been like a brother to me inside because it was getting way too cold out. Thank God he is housed now. Thank God Catholic Charities moved funding week after week after week, saving what they had because that went away. It was going to I think, towards veterans. They saved it for him. If he didn't have that, this man would still be unhoused. And I just thank God for that. With how things are being stripped at the moment from the federal government, we need you. We need you to help enhance the lives of the people that are still struggling, that are going through struggle with thirst, hunger, mental disabilities, physical disabilities. I mean, the list goes on. It's good. When we treat this like a one-size-fits-one, that's when we're gonna flourish. I compare it to an a la carte menu. We need to cater it to each person. I never even smoked marijuana in my life. I'm looked at the bus stop like I'm a criminal. When the tides get so high, that's when the ships are all gonna go together. And I look forward to that day, and I know we can do it. I don't have a doubt. I told Jay right there, I have no doubt in my mind that we don't have the capabilities, the people, and the communities, and also in the lived experience. There's no doubt. We just need to come hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. We now have Ben Hobart.
Ben Hobart, Westwood Hills. Vice Chairwoman Hanslick and Commissioners, my comments relate to the board's gross negligence in pursuing litigation regarding the kitchen sink proposition falsely styled as a renewal of the courthouse quarter-cent sales tax. Each of you took an oath of office to support the Constitution of the state of Kansas. Implicit in that is that you would adhere to the laws of the state of Kansas adopted thereunder. It was clear that your proposition did not comply with the legislature's specific grant of taxing authority. You were warned in May public comments that the proposition would be determined to be null and void. The Attorney General issued his opinion in July that your proposition was outside your taxing authority and would be determined null and void. It is apparent from this board's public comments in December that collectively you are angry that a court actually determined that this board is not above the law. This was also demonstrated by Chairman Kelly's unhinged tirade of ad hominem attacks in his commissioner comments at the 1 hour, 57-minute, and 40-second mark of your July 24 meeting. As a result of this board's grossly negligent actions, the board has jeopardized the potential for the timely adjustment of a significant source of revenue for our cities. The county does not need $350 million over 10 years for incremental increases in EMT, ambulance, and other services. To suggest this is the case is to deceive Johnson County taxpayers. The courthouse was built. The medical examiner's facility was built. The quarter-cent courthouse sales tax should end. This board must justify any new sales tax or other funding mechanism based on a specific need, which is quantified, not broad brushed. Thank you for receiving my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Hobart. We now have Jeff Harkness.
Jeff Harkness, Overland Park. Commissioners, this year is going to be real busy. We got the World Cup, we got our nation's 250th birthday, and the midterms. I'm thinking the World Cup's looking like it's going to be a merchandising blitzkrieg. We can take this time to go ahead and market pickleball throughout our county. Pickleball here in our Park and Rec department, pickleball there, summer camp in our school districts, and pickleball everywhere in our neighborhoods and HOAs. Our Constitution is not set up for activist influencers. We need more authentic individuals. Scott Mosier fits that bill, and I met him years ago, and with his forgiveness with the loss of his son, Officer Mike Mosier, back in 2020, during this, I call it the dual justice system. I think we all have that same amount of forgiveness. I do, so I think we need to get back to the basics. Governor Kelly spoke of the reason we got the chiefs was the Democrats and Republicans got together. This might be the time, I've always thought this, to put term limits on the chairman and the mayors throughout our area and go nation with it as we retool the Americas and bring the jobs home. I brought you a copy of this continuing ed from JUCO. This is how I got started. I think this is an instant way to get people into school. And eventually I went on to other stuff with it, but try that, and there's some stuff on there we might be able to work with small business, and thanks for allowing me to share my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Harkness. And finally, we have Galen Van Horn.
I'm hoping they get a longer neck microphone here. It's very hard to hear in the audience. Vice Chair, Commissioners, today's action agenda notes that there's an establishment of an ad hoc housing work group. I know nothing about this other than it was noted. The first consideration for this group should be that the county leaders, those of you on this diocese having significant influence in the county, city, and even in the state, should agree to take 1 or 2 homeless individuals into your homes. Potentially, your homes are large enough to house an individual or 2. You could offer shelter, a safe place from crime and the weather, transportation readily accessible either through an extra car or providing transportation. Food would be readily available. Work opportunities. Your contacts would provide excellent work prospects for the homeless individuals. Your leadership influence would encourage city councils and leaders throughout Johnson County to offer similar opportunities to homeless individuals. These opportunities would certainly go a long way to eliminate homelessness in Johnson County. Finally, as I have said since 2023, I ask, are you leading this county with your highest degree of integrity and transparency and spending our money judiciously? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Van Horn. Do we have any other speakers? No. All right. Well, that ends the public comment portion of our meeting. I will note that Chair Kelly is in attendance, and I will gladly hand the meeting back over to him.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, everybody, for your patience, and Happy New Year to everyone. At this time, we'll turn to the consent agenda. These are items of routine business. We're going to do notes for the record at the end. So thank you very much for that courtesy. So we have received requests that items number 3 and number 5 be removed from consent. So absent of these requests, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended? Commissioner Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Allen Brand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick and seconded by Commissioner Allen Brand. Would the clerk call the roll on the consent agenda, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hansley.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allen Brand.
Allen Brand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Then we'll go to the items that were removed from the consent agenda, starting with item number 3. Ask the clerk to read item number 3 into the record, please.
Consider authorizing an agreement with the City of Edgerton to provide security at the Community Event Center known as the Green Space at the rate of $80 per hour. The contract term is 1 year with an option to renew upon mutual agreement 2 additional 1-year terms.
Thank you very much. Brian Seidler's here from the Sheriff's Department to present the item, or the Sheriff's Office, excuse me. Mr. Seidler, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, thank you. This item is a renewal of an agreement that we have with the City of Edgerton to provide event security at their community event center known as the Green Space. They opened this in early 2025 and had, excuse me.
Mr. Seidler, and I apologize for interrupting you. We're having a little bit of audio issues. Would you mind trying to bring the microphone a little closer to you and see if maybe that assists? Thank you very much for your courtesy.
All right, is that better?
Use your outdoor voice.
All right. So they had approached us in early 2025 to provide event security at these private events where alcohol is going to be served. And so we came up with an agreement to be able to do that. So the sheriff's office will provide on-duty deputies at events where alcohol is being served, and the city will then reimburse the sheriff's office for the cost of providing those services. We didn't think it was appropriate for on-duty deputies to be providing event security at private events, and so the city is collecting a fee from the renting party and then turning around and paying that back to the county to offset the costs. So while the deputies are in fact on duty so that they can have workers' comp insurance and a radio in case they need to call for assistance, the total cost of them being there is being reimbursed by the city back to the county. And so I can answer any questions.
Mr. Seidler, thank you very much for being here. I anticipate one of the questions being, is this a full cost recovery for the county?
So, yeah, last year, we're about 15 cents off. Last year, we established a rate of $80 an hour, which is the average deputy salary rate, and then we add 1.5 multiplier for the overtime rate, and then we capture the associated FICA, KPNF benefit costs with that. And so for 2026, the total cost recovery rate is $80.15, but we're keeping the rate at 80 just because it's easier that way. We may be a little over last year. So we anticipate needing to change that next year as salaries increase, and so we will look to do that next year, but we are very close to 100%.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was not the person that asked to remove this from the consent agenda, but I did want to thank Mr. Seidler because I did have questions about it, which I conveyed to him via email, and I appreciate your responding with that information. A couple things that were very helpful to me is a reminder that this is a renewal of a previous agreement. It's not a new agreement, and that at this point in time, the Sheriff's Office already provides law enforcement coverage for the city of Edgerton. So this is not out of bounds for that kind of a relationship. And the fact that it is a full cost recovery and that it allows the county to be able to reimburse those deputies not only with salary, but also for FICA and the KPF rate. So I'm with that information, I'm glad to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't pull this off either, so it's in my district, and we've got a great partnership with the Sheriff's Department, and I'm glad that we continue to keep doing this. And Chair, when you're ready, I do have a motion.
Very good. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually was the one that asked it to be removed, not because of any objections, but for clarification. And Commissioner Hanslick made a statement. Is this a renewal?
Yes. We first brought this in May of 2025.
Okay. Because I did not remember that. I guess I missed that in the briefing sheet, and I did not catch that it was a private event, and that's part of the reason you went this way. And that makes perfect sense, because my question was the liability issue, and Mr. Seidler was kind enough to explain that. I'm supportive of this. I think it's an appropriate approach and an appropriate way to relieve Johnson County taxpayers for the private use of a very important function that otherwise, if they got the call, they'd have to be there anyway. So, good job.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brewer, did you have a comment?
Yes, I had recalled that I couldn't recall the month, but that this had come before us before. And I think the last time it came before us, we even talked about, did the capacity exist? Yes. And as your briefing sheet, and I really appreciate the table that was added that kind of went through how you arrived at the $80.15, that not only was there capacity, but it didn't impact other overtime needs, is my recollection from when this was first brought to us. Am I recalling that correctly?
Well, yes, so they do work this in an overtime capacity so that we're not reallocating resources to necessary public safety functions. And so this is done in an overtime capacity, but it is a voluntary capacity. So people are able to sign up when we get these notices a couple weeks in advance. And so we're able to allow people to sign up and work overtime on a voluntary basis. But then yes, we're able to recoup all the costs for that. So yeah, it's a pretty good relationship.
Very good. Further questions, Commissioner Hanslick?
Yes, thank you. I see that the sheriff is here, and I'm not necessarily asking for a response to this question right now, but the previous sheriff had indicated at one point that the sheriff's department would provide security for any nonprofit event that was following the security provided by the sheriff's department at a political conference. And I just wondered what the policy was at this point. So perhaps at some point we could have some more information about that.
I'd invite him to follow up with the commissioner directly on the topic. But to the motion at hand, I don't see further questions. Commissioner Allen Brandt, how about your motion?
Thank you, Chair. I move to authorize an agreement with the City of Edgerton to provide security at the Community Event Center known as the Green Space at the rate of $80 per hour. The contract term is 1 year with an option to renew upon mutual agreement, 2 additional and 1-year terms.
Hanslick, second.
So moved by Commissioner Allen Brandt, seconded by Commissioner Hanslick. Seeing no further questions at this time, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast. Aye. Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allen
Allen Brandt, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. And at this time, I'd ask the clerk to read item 5 into the record.
Application number E25-521-FPAU. Consider a request from Payne and Brockway, PA, applicant and Timothy and Nova Hanks Living Trust landowners, for a revised final plat for one residential lot, Trinity Place, second plat, on 10 acres on property zoned RUR Rural District located at 20511 Flum Road.
Thank you very much. Diane Wickland, welcome back. Happy New Year. Thank you for presenting the item.
Good morning, Diane Wickland, Planning Department. I'm here, happy to answer any questions that the board has on this application.
Very good. Commissioner Brewer, it's your district.
Thank you, Ms. Wickland. And I did ask for this to be pulled for consent agenda, not because I have an issue with it, but because I think it would be helpful for us to know a couple points that you shared in your briefing document. And I do know, and I have reviewed the minutes from the zoning board, so I know they were unanimous in their support of this item. And when the time's appropriate, I'm happy to make the motion as well for the item. But the two things I thought it would be helpful for us to have a deeper understanding is part of the reason this particular piece of property had the full-throated approval of the planning commission, or the planning staff and the zoning board, is there's been a change between the natural drainage areas being used as one of your decision-making tools and the what's called the stream buffer zones. And I just thought it would be helpful for us to understand that change, not just for this project, but also for projects going forward.
Sure, thank you for that question. So I'll just show a few graphics here. Here's just an aerial view of the subject property. This is just another aerial view showing the surrounding area. So since the approval of this original plat in 2005, the county has revised its storm drainage standards, which replace the natural drainage areas with stream buffer zones. And so the proposed plat was modified. You can see it removed the natural drainage areas here, replaced them with the new stream buffer zones. And those proposed changes are in accordance with the current county storm drainage standards. Those also follow the best practices with APWA in terms of stormwater and drainage practices. And so really that stream buffer zone is really, it's just kind of a strip of land that's adjacent to a stream or a creek. And its purpose really is just to kind of filter water, clean it before it goes into the stream. And so it's just really that change of standards that happened after this plat was done. So.
And I'm assuming these are just natural standards that change over time as we have a greater understanding of how water moves and how filtration works.
Yes.
So my only other question is, could you just remind us, there's a reference towards the bottom of the analysis that county staff recommends approval with stipulations, and there was a staff report that was done back on November 26th of 25, and I apologize, I didn't have time to pull that up, so if you could just refresh us, what were those stipulations?
Oh, and so I think the stipulations are in the briefing sheet. They're really, there's 3 stipulations.
I see now. My apologies.
Yeah, and they're just saying that, and really the purpose is for the owner to build a new barn. And so the stipulations are very general, ordinary stipulations that just say if he disturbs more than 1 acre of land, he needs to get a land disturbance permit for that. But
my apologies for that oversight. It was in the briefing sheet. Thank you. And as I stated, when the time is right, I'm happy to make the motion.
Seems like the time is upon us. Go ahead, Commissioner Brewer.
I move to approve the final plat for 1 residential lot to be known as Trinity Place, second plat, for the reasons and subject to the stipulations recommended by the zoning board.
Is there a second?
Hanslick, second.
So moved by Commissioner Brewer and seconded by Commissioner Hanslick. Seeing no further questions or comments on this item, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye. We have 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. McLean. We'll move on at this time to our regularly scheduled agenda items. We'll start with what's item number 6 in your agenda. Ask the clerk to read it into the record.
Consider authorizing an agreement between Johnson County and the City of Edgerton, Kansas for the provision of law enforcement services in 2026 by the Sheriff's Office to the City of Edgerton for a total amount of $623,747.
Mr. Seidler back again. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you. This is a renewal of our agreement with the City of Edgerton to provide law enforcement services. For 30 years, we have had an agreement with the city to essentially be their police department, and so this is a renewal of that agreement. The city essentially pays for their portion of the call volume for our 3rd Patrol District, and so the percentage of the calls that are generated from the city out of that district, they pay for that portion of the operational cost of that district. In addition, they pay for a dedicated deputy that is assigned full-time to the City of Edgerton, and they pay 100% cost recovery for that position. This year, the total cost is $623,747, which represents an 8.2% increase from the previous year. And this item was approved by the City of Edgerton City Council on December 11th. And I can answer any specific questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I want to thank the sheriff and the staff for the outstanding work and just the partnership within the cities that's in my district. And it just seems like things are going really, really a lot smoother. So I really appreciate that. And Chair, with that, I have a motion when you're ready.
I will come back to you for the motion. At this time, we'll go to Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Seidler, just kind of a curiosity. It's noted in the analysis that the contract includes an additional variable amount up to $5,000 for certain overtime expenses. Why $5,000? Why not $100,000? And I'm not trying to be silly, but that seems pretty low given given that sometimes things happen?
Yes, good question. And that's an amount that in the past it was baked into the contract. And here just in the last year, we've pulled that out as a separate billable cost. And so I think you are onto something. We've been watching that number, and the 5,000 remains an appropriate number for this year, but it's something that we've been watching to make sure that it remains an appropriate number. So I think that given that it is a separate billing item now, that we do have the ability to increase that to to really any amount. To your point, that would allow for, since it is up to and only used as necessary and as overtime hours are incurred, that we could raise that up to an amount that would be we would probably never reach. So I would look to do that for next year.
But you're satisfied that this year will cover you? You won't have to make any kind of radical adjustments?
Yes, we've
Okay.
watched that, and
Thank
based
you.
on the amount of overtime that comes out of the city, it's not really that much, and so we feel that it's an appropriate number still.
Any further questions before we hear a motion from Commissioner Ellenbrand? Seeing none, Commissioner Ellenbrand, how about your motion?
Thank you, Chair. I move to authorize an agreement between Johnson County and the city of Edgerton, Kansas for the provision of law enforcement services in 2026 by the Sheriff's Office to the city of Edgerton for the total amount of $623,747.
Myers, second.
So moved by Commissioner Ellenbrand and seconded by Commissioner Myers. Seeing no further questions at this time, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenbrand.
Ellenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye. We have 7 votes in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you so much. And at this time, we'll hear item number 7. Would the clerk please read it into the record?
Resolution number 002-26. Consider approving and adopting resolution number 002-26, authorizing the Johnson County Sheriff to establish an appropriate daily rate of compensation for the housing and maintenance of prisoners from the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Once again, finishing the trio.
Yes. Last
Mr.
one.
Seidler.
Yes, thank you. This is an item that we're requesting a resolution that allows the sheriff to establish an appropriate daily rate of compensation for housing inmates. This is related specifically to the Kansas Department of Corrections will reimburse local facilities for housing parole violators under state statute. And so the maximum reimbursement rate that they will pay is set by the Kansas legislature, which is currently $112.82 per inmate per day. But they will only pay that much if your declared total daily cost is at that rate or above. And so they are currently paying us $70.82. And so the last time that this declaration was made, our cost was at that rate. And so we tried to do a search and find when the last time this was done, and we could not find that, but it would have had to been some time since our cost was that low. For 2024, our actual cost per day was $229.12. So by adopting this resolution, it will allow the sheriff to set the rate at what the actual cost is, which will allow us to then receive the maximum reimbursement back from Kansas Department of Corrections. Through November, we had billed for 1,500 man days for the inmates held in this capacity, and so had we been reimbursed at the maximum rate instead of the rate we're currently being reimbursed at, we would have realized another $63,000 in revenue. So we're attempting to correct that shortfall by being able to establish the daily rate so that we can then get a reimbursement rate that will be quite a bit higher.
Well, thank you very much for adjusting this accordingly. We appreciate you bringing this to us. Commissioner Byrd.
Not so much a question, but a commendation. I really appreciate the fact that there was attention to reviewing this and looking at the details and rectifying it and bringing it to us so that we can get the maximum rate, even though our actual costs exceed that. But that's important because otherwise we're leaving some of that revenue that we would qualify for from the state, unfortunately, unallocated to the very purpose of what we're doing. So I appreciate the attention to detail.
Commissioner Ellenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Again, outstanding work. You've done a great job, and I know it's not just you, it's an entire team. So my appreciation, and I have a motion when you're ready, Chair.
We'll come back to you for that motion. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, and I commend you for catching this. Continue the good work. Just to verify, $229, that's fairly significant increase over the last few years. What do you attribute that to, please?
Yes, it is pretty high. I think that mostly that is attributed to the fact that our population has been lower. So with fewer inmates in custody, the costs are close to the same. We have annual increases in our medical, mental health, food services costs, our vehicles and fuel costs increase. And so the overall costs are higher in addition to salary increases as deputies achieve new steps. So the overall costs are in fact higher, but when you have fewer inmates in custody, and when you do the math, then the cost per day ends up being higher. So it's really a combination of both things. The costs are going up, but also because the inmate population has been lower, so it's causing the cost per day to increase.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. A couple of questions. One is, this is really directed to our governmental liaison, Aaron Wynn, that is this something we need to be paying attention to in the next legislative session in terms of the state providing adequate reimbursement for these costs? And secondly, if this might be a good reason for the Board of County Commissioners maybe to take a tour of the jail or the across the street, the ADC over there. I know I've had the opportunity to do that a couple times, and it's very helpful, especially when items like this come up, or to have that perspective of actually having seen it. So
yes, I think that would be a great idea, and we certainly can accommodate any tour. If we can work with you to make that happen, of course. And then as far as the first part of that, I do think it would be a good idea to watch that. I think that the legislature looks at kind of across the state what costs are and tries to do an average cost, and so ours is going to be a little bit higher than that. So I don't know that we'll ever get to the point where the reimbursement rate is such where it's kind of in line with what our actual cost is, but I think it would be prudent to watch that and have a say in that, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brewer.
Just a follow-up to an observation from Commissioner Ashcraft, and so just a question for you. I mean, you did the research, you weren't able to find when's the last time you made the request to change the rate. It does sound low that it had been many years since the $70.82 was the cost. Can you tell us how many years ago that was?
I don't know. I did look at that, but for being at $229 now, for it to have been $70.82 would have been quite some time. So,
Okay.
so we weren't able to find when the last time it was done.
And then my other question for you is you explain in the background that it's the cost of housing non-district court inmates. Is part of that cost not only the security aspect, the housing, feeding, but I know we also have a contract for medical and mental health services. I mean, regardless of where the individuals serving within that cell is from, they also are eligible for those services if if it's determined they are needed, correct?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. What I mean by non-district court is just these are not inmates that are pending court for current charges. These are parole violators that are being held either pending court or pending return to prison, and so we're being reimbursed for them to stay at the county detention center during that time, but they're entitled to all the same services that any other inmate would be.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Allenbrand, how about your motion?
Thank you, Chair. I move to approve and adopt resolution number 002-26, authorizing the Johnson County Sheriff to establish an appropriate daily rate of compensation for the housing and maintenance of prisoners from the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Brewer, second.
So moved by Commissioner Allenbrand, seconded by Commissioner Brewer. Commissioner Ashcraft, further question at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. should have pushed the button.
You're
But
fine.
follow on to an observation by Commissioner Hanslick and Mr. Seiler's comment, his response. I understand your response in terms of averaging the reimbursement rate across the states. Does the state take into consideration the level of service provided in Johnson County versus maybe Riley County or other counties in terms of making those calculations?
To be honest, I don't know what their formula is for calculating that, so I don't know if that's
Okay.
looked at.
Okay. Jim, I would agree with Commissioner Hanslick. Some further conversation and how that's framed might be useful. Maybe we can work with the sheriff on that item.
Thank you very much. All right, see no further questions on this. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion pending.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye. That is 7 votes in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to read item number 8 into the record.
Consider authorizing an exception to competition, approving the 5-year agreement with Central Square Technologies LLC to enhance and migrate Johnson County's current CAD software to a cloud solution at a total cost not to exceed $2,447,067 with an initial 2026 cost of $491,088 and to authorize the reallocation and expenditure of general fund reserves in the amount of $275,000.
Please welcome back Rick Assault from the Department of Emergency Services. Happy New Year. Welcome back.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me this morning. Rick Gessoff, Deputy Director for Emergency Communications. The current CAD system that we are on with Central Square has been reliable for over 20 years, making updates and upgrades along the way. It is considered a legacy CAD system that's on-premise. That means that it's using servers in the CCC data room to push and pull data to several other sources. And these servers are currently maintained by GIMS and ECC technical staff. The future of public safety communications systems, phone and radio to be specific in their technology, has gone away from legacy technology, and CAD is no different. They've moved away from on-premise equipment and moved into more of a fiber and cloud connection. And that's our desired state for the CAD. The benefits are vast and provide a secure, robust, long-term solution. I want to clarify that this is an enhancement to our current software. And because of the cloud nature architecture, the upgrades and updates that are available require no downtime or staff interaction to implement. Monitoring the CAD system will now be performed mainly by Central Square Network personnel. They're actively monitoring for threats and resolving issues behind the scenes. Cybersecurity is a top priority for any public safety system, and CAD is no different. Maintaining our data and preserving ECC's functionality becomes proactive rather than reactive. Although annual maintenance costs increase under this cloud model, the overall investment remains substantially lower than implementing a different on-prem CAD system previously requested in fiscal year 2026, and provides a greater long-term value and stability. It also enhances our redundancy, interoperability, and mobile capabilities. Some of the key considerations that ECC leadership made were operational reliability and resilience, providing those automatic updates, proactive system monitoring, and redundant GovCloud environments. This also eliminates hardware refresh cycles. I know that helps Scott and his team over there. Server power costs, and hundreds of staff hours spent troubleshooting and upgrading the legacy system annually. This also supports long-term modernization goals and strengthens cybersecurity posture. Furthermore, this enables our iOS-based mobile CAD, allowing our fire and EMS partners to replace costly Toughbooks with significantly lower priced tablets. Upgrading to Central Square's cloud-native CAD is both fiscally responsible and operationally strategic, offering enhanced reliability, improved cybersecurity, and reduced internal workload. A modernized platform is capable of supporting Johnson County's emergency communications needs well into the future, and I'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to ask you to step aside for just a second because we do have a request for public comments on this item.
Indeed.
And then we will have question, discussion from the board. So when the clerk is ready, we'll invite Mr. Hobart.
Ben Holbert, Westwood Hills, Chairman Kelly and Commissioners, I have the following comments. Number one, am I correct in interpreting the briefing sheet that this is a 70% increase in annual costs from $281,000 to $491,000? Two, I note that the contract was signed on December 16th by a representative of the county. I acknowledge that you have an addendum that says any contract is subject to approval processes, including the required board approval of any exception to competition. But I would submit that it is an ill-advised practice to have the contract signed before all approvals are contemporaneously given. I would suggest the board seriously consider changing that process in the future. Three, I note that six of the technical staff CAD interactions relate to law enforcement or have a law enforcement focus. So I would think confidentiality of that data on a long-term basis is extremely important. So if this goes to the cloud, what happens if this contract is terminated? Is the data erased from the cloud? Does it remain there? Does the county get all of it back and it's purged from any other site? I would like to understand that better. A lot of this is total Greek to me, but it seems to me that's a major significant issue. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll invite back Mr. Gisolf for questions and comments from the board on this item, which was in our CIP plan and an important piece to the safety and security of Johnson County. And so I'm glad you're bringing this forward to us, as well as our continued quest for innovation in the way in which we provide service and the partners that we find to be able to do so. And so pursuing what was in our CIP plan and comparing it to the Hexagon-related service does provide functionality that we need, and most importantly, that functionality, but also over the 5-year term, significant cost savings. So thank you very much for finding that and bringing this to our attention. We'll start with Commissioner Brewer on further questions.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you, Mr. Gisoff, and I appreciate the comments from the chair. That also was one of the observations I made is I think it's important to recognize that when we put together a budget, especially for future spending, we put together the best numbers that we have on bids or information, but we don't stop there. We continue to try to find efficiencies, not only for cost savings purposes, but staff saving purposes, and really what's the best model going forward. So I appreciate the diligence in that work. I just wanted to understand a few things, and I apologize, I didn't have the opportunity to reach out to you ahead of time to ask a couple kind of in the weeds questions, so I'll ask them now. So the $2,447,000 and change, is that over the course of the 5 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I understood that. And it's only for the CAD system for Emergency Communications Center, as has been previously noted. Also, there's a CAD system for law enforcement, right?
Yes, there are two systems. Yep.
But the dollars that we're talking about and the functionality that we're talking about, is it covering both the Justice Information System and the Emergency Communication System, or is this just the Emergency Communication System portion?
Just the ECC
Okay,
portion.
and I got to believe that by working with this third party that you've had an established relationship with and moving it to the cloud, all appropriate separation of data, protection of data, and confidentiality of data is maintained in the contract and in the expectations of how the system will function?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I appreciate Commissioner Brewer's question about security. I think the speaker makes an interesting point that a lot of people don't realize, so I think that's makes sense. The other question I had to do with cost and interoperability. There are currently, I believe, 7 PSAPs in Johnson County and 40-something in the region. So this move will help ensure long-term interoperability of the system for the foreseeable future, for decades. I'm not asking you to predict, but this is, staff is confident that this is the best long-term approach.
Yes, sir. This also, what I didn't note here, provides a CAD to CAD connection. So we can now share data, or will be able to share data across those CAD platforms between law enforcement centers in Johnson County and our center here at the CCC.
Okay. One deep dive question, though, under the funding overview in the second paragraph, you indicate that there's an initial cost avoidance of approximately $2.7 million, and the total contract is 3.6, almost 3.7. So there seems to be about $1 million, $900,000 difference there. Where is that? What is that $900,000? I didn't see it in the briefing sheet.
Sure, thanks for that question, Commissioner. So as noted in the briefing sheet, our annual maintenance costs are about $281,000 annually, and those go up 5%. To move to the cloud and everything I noted that Central Square is going to provide, it does require an additional cost, and that's about $190,000 increase. For the first 2 years, there is no percent increase, and for years 3 through 5, it'll only be a 3%. So if you add all of those figures up, it's $989,163. So that's the difference in the cost savings and the cost avoidance from moving to the Hexagon product.
Is that over 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there are some cost shifting there, but over 5 years there is a cost savings.
A cost avoidance, yes, sir.
Well, so cost avoidance. Where does the money go? You say cost avoidance. Is it shifted somewhere else, or will we be able to reduce Bill Nixon's salary by that much because we've got that much savings?
Oh, that's a multi-layered question. So the second part is I worked with Mr. Herbert in the room here on what those cost savings would be if we moved to the cloud and away from his servers. And he would see some additional savings for licensing and refresh, where he could reallocate the equipment and licensing that he uses now for our systems to other systems that might request those in the future. And then to your first part of your question, Commissioner, the original contract that I was requesting in the CIP for fiscal year 26 for Hexagon was that $3.6 million figure there. So our increases wouldn't go to $3.6 million. It would only go up this $989,000 figure. That's where the cost avoidance is.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Burr.
There was a little discussion too around the cloud versus having hard equipment, and I just have to reflect, having run organizations before and taken one from the hard equipment server in the building to the cloud. I can't stress enough how much savings of staff time and dollars that we incurred not dealing with trying to maintain that hard equipment within our facility and dealing with overheating situations, aging equipment situations and such. And my understanding is if I have a subscription with a cloud storage source and I choose not to renew that, I have access to download that information and maintain those files before that subscription would expire. that there's a way to retrieve and have that information that was previously stored.
Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer for you, Commissioner, but I can certainly gain some clarification. But I don't doubt that our partnership with Central Square would be fractured in any way to where we wouldn't be able to get data that was necessary for litigation or call review, things like that. Everything is HIPAA compliant. We don't have to dive into the CJIS part of it. That's the law enforcement side. But in terms of HIPAA, that information is all compliant.
Thank you.
Commissioner Myers, anything further?
My questions were answered.
Very good, sir. All right, are there further questions or comments at this time? We have a motion pending. So, or do we not have a motion pending at this point? I didn't think so.
Happy to make the motion.
Commissioner Brewer, why don't you go ahead?
Consider authorizing an exception to competition, approving the 5-year agreement with Central Square Technologies, LLC, to enhance and mitigate Johnson County's current CAD software to a cloud solution at a total cost not to exceed $2,447,067 with an initial 2026 cost of $491,088, and to authorize the reallocation and expenditure of general fund reserves in the amount of $275,000.
Myers, second.
So moved by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Ashcraft, a further question?
Not a question so much, Mr. Chairman, as a comment. I commend staff for attempting to manipulate the technology to make it work in a very dynamic environment. We have, I believe, 7 PSAPs in Johnson County, much less the rest of the region, and trying to keep that organized and fully connected is an expensive endeavor. And I would hope that we can continue conversations to talk about how we provide this very critical service, but more cost effectively, not just for us in the county, but for the county as an or as a community. It's a challenge, and staff does well, but I think the bigger issue is, do we really need 7 PSAPs to provide this type of service? And that's just Johnson County. So I'm just posturing a little bit, Mr. Chairman. Forgive me.
Absolutely, I can appreciate that, and always recognize that public safety requires partnership from multiple entities, and if we can continue to find ways to do so in a more effective and efficient fashion, we'd all be better for it. So thanks for the comments. All right, now with the motion pending and not seeing further questions or comments at this time, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Fest.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that would be 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. We'll move on at this time to what's number 9 on your agenda, asking the clerk to call the roll, or not call the roll, maybe in a little bit, but at this time, maybe read the item in to the record.
Okay. Authorization of KDAD supplemental nutrition services funding. Consider authorizing the Aging and Human Services Department through the Johnson County Area Agency on Aging to accept a grant from Kansas Department for Aging and Disability Services, KDADS, for legislature supplemental funding to support nutrition services in the amount of $200,000 for the senior nutrition program in Johnson County, and authorizing the reallocation of expenditure of fiscal year 2026 general fund balance reserves in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
Thank you very much. Carol Colner is here to present the item. Welcome back.
Good morning, Commissioners and Chair Kelly. I'm here to discuss the opportunity we had to apply for a grant through the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services. The grant, it was for $1 million, and it was offered to the 11 Kansas Area Agency on Aging. They were only going to award it to 5. We were one of the 5 that was awarded for the $200,000. And it is to remove our wait list as much as we possibly can. Johnson County has the largest wait list for nutrition in the state of Kansas. We have about 1,300 at the time of this for our CHAMPS, which is choosing healthy, hang on, I say it wrong every time. I try to put appetizing. Choosing Healthy Meal Plans Solutions for Seniors. It's where they can go and dine 8 times a month at a Hy-Vee and get a nutritious meal. We have had such an influx of demand for that program that we had to do a wait list. They used to get a meal a day. Now it's 8 meals a month. And so this funding would help us start to reduce that, and we have till June 30th to spend that. So I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity we have to provide more nutritious meals for seniors in Johnson County. If you could briefly help me understand and convey where we are in the wait list for this program, and with this additional funding, when might we be able to fully catch up with that wait list?
We were hoping this grant would help us get rid of all of it, but we didn't. This first year, it's a very short grant term. We have to have it spent by June 30th, so they took that $1 million and divided it between the 5 that applied. So each one only got $200,000. We don't want to take a lot of people off of the wait list and then have to put them right back on if we don't have the funding in the future. So what we're going to do is every month add more and more people to take off the wait list, evaluate how many times they're eating and where we're at funding wise. What we were hoping was we would be able to take almost 1,300 off, but that's probably not going to happen. But we will keep working and keep trying to find more funding. And we are also working very closely with the state of Kansas to have this not be a one-time, that they will continue to fund this. And maybe next year, fingers crossed, we would get more than 200,000.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll invite comments from fellow commissioners, but I would hope before June, you might come back to us or email with an update on the status of the waiting list and also the efforts with the state of Kansas to hopefully make this perpetual.
Yes, and the state of Kansas is asking us to report to them also. We just haven't seen what the report's going to look like yet.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Commissioner Past.
Yes, thank you. Such a great program. Does anyone else have the CHAMPS program in Kansas?
Yes. Sorry.
And so I'm not quite clear, was this state general fund revenue or was this federal funds that went to the state and they're passing it down?
This was the state general fund.
So it is to get it next year. It's based on the legislature putting into the. So it's advocacy.
Yes.
In our once again.
Yes, our legislators. Yes.
So all we know is really they did a one-time appropriation. We don't know if it's going to continue.
Yes, but we are working very hard to make sure that this continues because we don't want to keep a wait list getting larger and larger. The demand is there.
No, I don't doubt.
Yeah.
It's just, we need to know where the point of advocacy is.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Well, you answered some of my biggest concerns. I too believe that putting someone, taking someone off a wait list and then having to return them right back to a wait list is not an ideal situation, and would like that to be prevented as much as possible. And then my next question was this a one-time grant? And it sounds like the answer is yes for now, but the hope is that it will be a renewable grant in the future. And you hate to have to, count on that, but I do hope that this grant continues because I do see the need. I think the program is a wonderful program, and I think we need to do the best we can, as we have been in serving our residents, to be able to have supplemented food for their dietary needs. So I've got my fingers crossed, Jess, I'm sure you do too, but wanted to make those comments.
And there were 8 that applied for it, and only 5 of us were the ones that got it, so. They do see that there is a demand across the whole state of Kansas, so.
Commissioner Brewer.
So this takes me back to the beginning of my term last year. One of the first calls that I got was from a resident in my district, an elderly gentleman who had lost his wife. And this was a very important program, and he had lapsed in using it for a bit. So one of the things I know you guys work hard at doing is keeping your list as clean as you can, just to make sure that you're not holding a spot for somebody who unfortunately has passed away and can no longer
Correct.
use it. But getting him back on was so important, so I'm so happy to see this continue. I do want to underscore a couple of things. Congratulations on being successful in the grant competition. I attended your last legislative event that you had, and you had a wonderful turnout from our Johnson County State Delegation. So I'm hopeful them hearing the facts and the data that you shared during that event, and you're continuing to build on that relationship also through our Silver Hair Legislature. And I'll defer to Commissioner Hanslick. I believe food insecurity is one of their key legislative priorities. I'm cautiously optimistic that we have the relationships and the advocacy network to underscore just the vast importance of having secure feeding programs, right, available for our residents, especially since the 65 and older population is our fastest growing demographic here in Johnson County.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you, and thanks for being here, Ms. Kolner. I had a lot of questions about this grant. I did message Tim Wolf, and he responded to that. So a couple things I wanted to clarify is, first of all, I was frustrated that the KDADs chose to just split this grant into 5 pieces without any consideration for outcomes or levels of need. And again, I hope that's something that we can address legislatively perhaps, because once again, I feel like Johnson County's getting the short end of the stick. In fact, I understand from Mr. Wolf that we had actually requested $300,000.
Yes.
So I think we need to keep in mind that we need to continue to advocate for, I hope this continues, but I hope that it also continues in a way where the decisions are based on the need and the proven outcomes rather than just split it 5 ways.
Right.
I think that's to the detriment of our vulnerable seniors who need this program. Secondly, I was glad to see that we are utilizing the what is it called? The nutrition risk screening assessment. Because prior to this, the CHAMPS program was open to anyone regardless of income, and it wasn't a problem because we had the capacity, and at that time, people could access the CHAMPS meals 5 or 7 days, 7 days a week.
30 or 31
Yes.
days a week, a month, sorry, not a week.
And so I know I talked to a lot of folks that not only was it an opportunity for them to get a nutritious meal, it was a socialization opportunity. They'd get together with their friends at the Hy-Vee maybe every day to have their meal. Well, now we've had to reduce that access to, it's like a couple meals a week, basically. 2
8
meals
times a month.
Yes, and that bothers me that we can't provide more than that. So I'm glad to better understand from Mr. Wolf that going forward, we're going to be using this nutrition risk screening assessment in prioritizing the most vulnerable people who need to come off the wait list. And my hope would be eventually we would use that for everyone on the wait list because.
We will be.
Anybody, I mean, someone could be living in a $5 million house and have a $2 million income, and they could, at least in the past, they could be eligible for this. So I think those 2 points are really important to me, that we continue to advocate for Johnson County's needs on an equitable basis from the state. And then secondly, that we make sure we're utilizing these funds for our very most vulnerable people. And I know you are working on both those things, so thank you.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Colner, I just wanted to say I appreciate your thoughtful approach. It makes sense in terms of, as Commissioner Myers indicated, you don't want to add people and have to drop them. That's a cautious, but I think prudent approach, so very good. I wanted to build a little bit on what Commissioner Hanslick asked. I think her questions and concerns are spot on. But could you clarify the decision-making process on the distribution of these funds? Is that strictly a legislative issue, or is that an administrative issue, or a mixture? Is there somebody in the vast state bureaucracy that's saying, I don't like Johnson County, so I'm not going to give them any more than I absolutely have to? And I know I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but is the issue legislative, or is it also administrative?
I'm going to say probably more administrative at this point. I think the grant came through, and I don't think they had enough time to really focus on how to split it, and it just became easy. We're hoping this year to just say, we gave it to the 5, here, you each get 200. Because there was one that asked for, I think, $700-some thousand of it. So I think they were trying to be fair-ish. I don't think there's anything against Johnson County.
Okay, well, that's a very gracious response, and I commend you for that. So I would just offer, if there's anything that we, meaning the board, can do to visit with people. I know you and Mr. Wolf are very competent, but this is a real world program with real world benefits. So I'm very supportive. Thank you.
And we are hoping when we report that's going to give them the confidence in Johnson County that we maybe deserve a little bit more.
And to round out all commissioners, Commissioner Allenbrand.
Chair, do you need a motion?
I'd love one.
I move to authorize the Aging and Human Services Department through the Johnson County Area Aging on Aging to accept a grant from the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services, KDADS, for legislative supplement funding to support the nutritional services in the amount of $200,000 for the senior nutrition program in Johnson County, and authorize the relocation and expenditure of fiscal year 2026 general fund balance reserves in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
Hanslick, second.
Moved by Commissioner Allenbrand, seconded by Commissioner Hanslick. No further questions or comments are requested at this time, so I'd ask the clerk to call the roll on the question pending.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that is 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll hear a management report from the county manager, Ms. Bostoke Ferguson.
Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. First is the CRE report, County Economic Research Institute for the December edition. And the unemployment rate for September was about the same at 3.4% compared to this time last year, 3.2%. And then year-to-date single-family home sales through October were 7,835 compared to 7,026 this time last year, so that's a 12% increase. Single-family building permits, we saw a 4% increase, and then sales tax, 4% increase as well. The next item attached is the community survey for your review. We are looking at some minor changes being recommended following the process that we did last year, very similar, kind of tracking trends over time. And so our goal is to get to ETC any changes beyond what staff's recommending. There's 2 minor changes that are redlined in your packet. Would appreciate your feedback if you want to discuss it with us directly or give us any suggested changes that we can talk through by next Friday. And the next, I'll pause and see if there's a question there.
Commissioner Myers, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. You know, these community surveys, I know I put a lot of belief into them, and I think they're extremely important. But I've had a resident that contacted me, and of course, there are a lot of bad actors out in the world, and he had a concern of whether the survey could get manipulated by someone using the internet. I feel comfortable with the response. I'm not sure that he's comfortable with that response, with the response that we got, but I think it's important that we continue to make sure that we're, again, secure and safe, so that the data that we're receiving from our surveys is accurate and because again, it does, I think, affect some decision-making by this board when we see the results of those surveys. So, because I put a lot of importance into it. So I just want to make sure that, again, let people know that I've had a concern. I don't know if others have had concerns, but that we continue to look at security of response that we get through our surveys.
Absolutely. ETC does this for a lot of communities, as you know, across the country and world. And they have put measures in place. We have addressed that in the past. There's been some questions. If it's helpful, what I can do is forward an email to the board so you have the notes about what they're doing. One is it's statistically valid, and they put protections in place through technology to make sure that it is a random sample, not only by district, but countywide. So I can share some of that information by email to just remind you all that you're armed with that information.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The next item, I'd like Aaron Otto to come forward to talk about transit and do an introduction. Aaron?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. Aaron Otto with the County Manager's Office. Coming here was a little bit of a follow-up to what the process we went through for the last 2 years in the strategic plan. One of the things that came out of that process when we started doing stakeholder engagement and some ETC survey work is that there was clearly a confusion between the services provided by Johnson County government that you've helped fund and the ATA service that's provided on behalf of Kansas City, Missouri. And so one of the things that we wanted to look at as part of that process, and we started that conversation with you early last year, was looking at a bit of a rebranding for our effort. Just as a bit of history, we used to have the Joe, if you recall, that lasted till about 2015, 2016. We then tried to merge into the regional aspect when KCATA was running our services of calling it Ride KC all over. We still had a bit of county branding on one part of the bus though. But what we're looking at here, as we've mentioned multiple times last year and you formally approved last November as part of the strategic planning effort, was an effort to more clearly identify our vehicles. And so one of the things that came from that is honestly an idea that Leavenworth County has already done, and we've had conversations with ATA on this as well, and that is to try to do a bit of a blend. And what that looks like, and we did show you an earlier version that was almost exactly the same as this last year, where you keep the RIDE logo, which is similar to KCATA's type, font, and color, but then you also put the jurisdiction it's serving. And this might become more of a standard throughout the region. It'll be up to jurisdictions if they want to go down that road. So over time, we told you during the strategic plan, once we had kind of a final, we were going to bring it back to you. The JOCO and the Sunflower obviously matched the branding standards that were adopted about a decade ago for the county. We wanted to get this in front of you so that we can start working on implementing this on a phased approach, but really starting with the vehicles we'll have on base for World Cup coming up this summer, and then we'll continue to work on vehicles and shelters in the future. And before I take any questions, I just want to make sure I introduce, if you haven't met already, Justice Welke is our interim planning director for transit. Happy to have him here, and if there's any really tough questions, I'll throw them his way as well. But happy to take any questions that you all might have. There's one other, if you click logo, one's the stack and one's the just horizontal. But happy to take any questions you might have.
Well, Mr. Otto, thank you very much for the presentation and for the continued implementation of the strategic transit plan. We look forward to seeing this out and about in Johnson County. Commissioner Allenbrand?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this information. I think this looks great. So like having Johnson County. And who's taking, because I can't see over the, oh, good to meet you. Okay. Thank you.
Anything further other than Mr. Welker, thank you very much for your continued service to Johnson County.
Chairman, that concludes my report. Thanks.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I asked for a note for the record to be moved to the end of today's agenda. I did want to note for the following, and first of all, to thank our Vice Chair, Commissioner Hanslick, for starting today's meeting. But I did want to note a specific note for the record and wanted the opportunity to do so. To deepen our impact in the housing focus area for the Board of County Commissioners, I, as chair, am establishing an ad hoc working group to recommend areas of the housing continuum to prioritize, to develop a scope for the next few years of work, to review and recommend projects to be considered by the board, and to develop measurable goals to advance this BOCC focus area. I appreciate the work of the Housing Subcommittee that was formed in 2021 between Commissioners Allenbrand, Fast, and Hanslick. The ad hoc working group will consist of myself, the chair, as well as Commissioners Myers and Brewer. And the ad hoc working group will convene for a period of 12 months with an option to extend based on progress of identified initiatives. I'll speak a little bit more about this in my commissioner's comment, but wanted to note that for the record. At this time, we will take commissioner comments. We'll start today with Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I attended the K-State legislative coffee or legislative breakfast that they had, which was a really, really good turnout. And I'm glad to have that in Olathe. Also, I wanted to say that, just note to other commissioners, that KDOT is going to have an office located out of that building as well. So I think that's really nice to have them come here and be a part of, just with everything that's going on in Johnson County. I think that says a lot. I do have to say I was really disappointed that the library board voted against the EV stations, and now they're located somewhere else. And as we go forward to charge for those, that was a loss of revenue that's going to happen. So I was really disappointed in that. So I don't know. I just was frustrated. So I just wanted people to know that. And then I was going to ask County Manager, on the in the past, on the manager report, you always had everything listed in there.
Yes.
Is it something just not happening this time, but in the future maybe? On our, briefing sheets when we pull them up, so everything is on there, but.
Yeah, so
I was
part of the issue is timing, so we need to figure it out. But with the agendas now through this pilot program, we have the agenda published 10 days prior to the actual meeting. With both my report and the legislative report that Aaron Wynn does, we want it to be as up-to-date as possible. So my plan is to send out information on Tuesdays, kind of that for those reports, the same time frame. Everything else is earlier, but because we don't have agenda review, it's on a different cycle. So we'll try to figure out. I'll work with the clerk's office to see if we can get that list added once we send it out. I'm not sure how to best do that, but we'll work through it. It's part of the transition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Allenbrand. We'll go to Commissioner Ashcraft.
Nothing, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the county manager trying to work through the subtleties and differences in the two processes, and hopefully will work out, although my objections stand.
Commissioner Brewer.
Thank you, Chair. A couple items today. One, I just want to give a thank you to Representative Sharice Davis' office. I've been working through a railroad stoppage issue in my district that has posed some safety, access to work and school issues for residents in a certain geographic area. County does not have jurisdiction over railroads. That's a federal. And thanks to Representative Davis' office, we've been in communication with the Federal Railroad Administration. As a matter of fact, a representative from that department was out yesterday taking firsthand observation of some of the crossing issues that are in play in my district. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I'd like to take my time for a little bit larger issue that I met with some key staff, the chair, and apprised the vice chair about an agenda item request that I made on December 31st for an additional item to be added to our January 15th meeting agenda. I'm requesting for consideration that the Board of County Commissioners allocate a $25,000 grant to fund hotel motel vouchers for overflow cold weather shelter capacity needs during this cold weather shelter season that began on the 1st of December and ends on March 31st of 26. This request is in response to the changes, disruptions, delays, and/or elimination of critical funding in 2025 and projected into 2026 at the federal level for programs and services to meet the needs of residents experiencing homelessness. The cold weather shelter in Johnson County has experienced demand exceeding capacity since its seasonal opening this past December 1st. In compiling research and data for this request, I'd like to share that within the first 30 days of opening, Project 1020 has expended more than $9,300 in hotel motel fees to house just a portion of the overflow capacity demand on its shelter resources. Project 1020 has also provided safe overnight parking for shelter guests who have vehicles to stay in their cars on a nightly basis when shelter capacity limits are reached. This averages 9 to 12 guests a night must rely on this option due to those capacity limits. This option poses both health and safety risk on nights below freezing. Aside from Project 1020, the only other emergency shelter, the Salvation Army Family Lodge, who I've also had meetings with, has indicated they are experiencing full capacity on a regular basis. They have 11 emergency family shelter units and 3 family transitional housing units. Additionally, the Salvation Army has indicated their average shelter stays have lengthened due to housing supply issues. Demonstrated need supports a request for short-term assistance during the winter months that can also pose health and safety risks due to extreme weather. The short-term immediate need request allows area continuum of care on homelessness collaboration, our cities and the county, the time and the space to work on long-term solutions while meeting immediate critical needs of residents experiencing homelessness. The amount requested takes into account the capacity needs between now and the end of the cold weather shelter season, the negotiated rate of known hotels and motels that accept vouchers, and some of my own assumed budget limitations, quite frankly, that we have in our capacity to consider. I suggest that the recipient would be Project 1020. They are a past recipient of county grant funds. They have real-time contact with residents experiencing homelessness, and they will know what needs are when, night by night. I will share, because during the holiday I had an opportunity to be back in my hometown, the Quad Cities, a quote from a former high school classmate of mine who is now the coroner for the county I grew up in. During their last around the holidays, Thanksgiving holidays, you may recall, we had some very severe cold weather that was even more severe up north. And I quote Brian, the coroner, "If we do not find a way to expand winter shelter capacity for the growing number of residents experiencing homelessness, people will die. We have been blessed with mostly moderate winter weather to date in our area, but as we speak, weather patterns are changing for our Johnson County area. So with that, I feel this is an immediate need request for a limited time, and I'd like us to be able to consider this request within the moment, hence the request for it to be considered on the January 15th agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Yesterday, I got to attend at the K-State Olathe campus a K-State legislative update, and a couple other commissioners were there along with me, Commissioner Brewer and Commissioner Allenbrand, and it was very good to hear what's going on with that campus, and it was a very good meeting. And then in conjunction with that, they had a ribbon cutting of the new Bulk Solids Technology Center. And it's a very exciting upgrade to the campus, K-State campus in Olathe, and I congratulate them on that. Again, advanced manufacturing is really a targeted area that the K-State Olathe campus is trying to make, and this was a great step forward on that venture. So congratulations to them.
Thank you. Commissioner Fast.
Yes, this week was the State of the Cities for Northeast Johnson County. Always proud of what all the local cities in the Northeast get accomplished in a given year. Mental Health Center had their annual collaboration with elected officials at Tyler House in Mission, and it says Center for Teens provides supports at Johnson County Mental Health Supports. This is really a great, innovative program. I also met with Hedge Lane Apartments and the owner, and how much we really said thank you, how much we supported that affordable housing unit. One of the issues is, with the low-income tax credits, they were funding 4,000 tax credits a year. That is going down now to like 800 or 900. And he's applying for another facility, but how difficult now it is to get those tax credits to do workforce housing. And so we talk about supply of housing, we talk about our high appraisal. One issue is the supply. Unless we address the supply, that impacts our appraisal levels. And then with going from 4,000 to 800, 900, and who's really getting hit hard is rural Kansas too.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Haslett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. Well, something I like to do every year at the beginning of the year is to sit down and think about what are my goals as a member of the Board of County Commissioners for the coming year. And so I wanted to just briefly share some of those goals for the coming year. None of them I think would be quite surprising, but I think it's important to be, for me to be transparent about that. First of all, as I think we all agree, we need to continue to seek ways to diversify our county revenue to reduce reliance on our residential property taxes. And to that end, I also want to increase public awareness of the local impact of state legislative decisions on Johnson County. And I think that's that was obvious in some of our conversations today, that there are decisions made at the state level that restrict our ability as a county to utilize and have access to necessary funding to meet our residents' needs. I also plan to support the continued implementation of Johnson County's short and long-range strategic transit plan. I think we have a great plan, and I look forward to getting that underway. And also, one of my goals is to support, initiate, and implement collaborative housing solutions, especially in light of what we're hearing from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development in terms of their changing priorities and their change in how funding will be made available. And I commend the chair and Commissioner Brewer and Commissioner Myers for stepping into the ad hoc housing committee, and I'm stand ready to support you in whatever way I can. So those are my goals for this year, and I look forward to many opportunities to continue to work on those.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Hanslick, and thank you all. It's good to be back with you after hopefully a restful holiday season, but please be assured, for some of us, it was not very restful. We continue to work on any number of issues that are continuing to impact Johnson County and the opportunities ahead. I will start where I left off in the notes for the record, and particularly some of the comments about housing. The rationale for this ad hoc working group is not to replace the board as a decision-making arm by any means, but to review the work that's been done, to provide a real analysis of the landscape, where the gaps exist within the housing policy and programming that we have, as a county, have direct authority over, and where we can gather and work with and support other stakeholders in partnership with the county. I hope that this ad hoc working group will select specific areas of focus, and within those specific areas of focus, specific initiatives within those target areas, so that we can have real meaningful action in front of this board in a short amount of time. There are needs within the county. They have been expressed in multiple commissioner comments today, and we're ready as a board to take action. This group's going to meet on an as needed basis, but the first meeting will come in the very near future. To the Commissioner Brewer's request, I very much appreciate that. We realize there's a gap within the system right now, and that there are real lives at stake. I appreciate that the thoughtfulness that she put into this item and the work that she's put into this item is not only measurable, but directly meets an emerging community need. And so I look forward to putting that item on the agenda for you. And further, I look forward to working with everyone on this board to address that focus area of housing, but in specific, measurable ways during this year. Additionally, Commissioner Fast, a moment of privilege.
Will it be like a personal privilege? Will it be like a coalition? You know what I mean? The makeup. I'm just asking on the makeup. When you say work group, is it like the sustainability coalition?
The ad hoc
more like
The ad hoc working group will consist of myself, Commissioner Brewer, and Commissioner Myers, and kind of complementing and furthering the work that the housing subcommittee on which you participated.
Okay, I didn't know if there'd be others from the community on it.
I think as needed, we will work with partners and developing items, yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, I appreciate the question. As has been stated multiple times, working with the legislature is paramount to the ability to not only implement the required tasks that the state has for Johnson County, but to do so in an effective and efficient fashion and not overly rely on residential property taxes by subsidizing the state for various services, whether that be housing inmates for the KDOC like we heard today, or whether that be in licensing motor vehicles, which we've talked about in great detail. I think we have a very strategic and very direct legislative platform for the state legislature, and we have had great conversations, not only with our legislators, but with their staffs about how we can see these items be implemented during this session. So I very much look forward to sessions starting on Monday, and also to work with not only the legislature, but with Governor Kelly's administration. And I look forward to representing the county at the State of the State next week as well. As we continue to move into a new year, it is also a World Cup year. We are 157 days away from welcoming the world to Johnson County and the Kansas City metropolitan region. It has been a busy month after learning on December 5th which teams would actually play games here, and knowing that we've got an incredible draw for our region. Teams from 4 different continents, including the current world champs in Argentina, playing games here in our region, knows that we will be a destination for not only folks from around the world, but those from around the country to come and enjoy and to experience the entire metropolitan region, including Johnson County, in a unique way. I appreciate the good work that has gone into planning for this, not only the airport routes that we've talked about, but the planning for the circulator route throughout Johnson County, enhancing transit opportunities, but also safety and security and celebration like a theater in the park. We're going to be providing more specific updates for everybody so that folks can recognize how this is going to impact me on a day-to-day basis, but also how you can join in the celebration and the Midwestern hospitality that we hope to show everybody from across the world with this, frankly, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as we host the world's biggest sporting event. So I look forward to a very good year ahead, and invite Commissioner Ashcraft for a moment of personal privilege.
I was wanting to ask you a question, if I could, Mr. Chair, about the World Cup.
Go ahead.
Has there been any announcements in terms of who might make this region home base yet?
No, there's not been any formal announcements. I can say with great certainty that we are a desirable destination.
No, fair enough. But
And we look forward to announcing those. The Intercontinental playoffs and the UEFA playoffs are in March, and official announcements will be made thereafter.
So after March, okay.
But as soon as we have information to share with the board, we will do so.
Okay, thank you.
I see that staff has their hand raised. Is there anything in particular, Chief Counsel?
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, thank you. I just wanted procedurally to bring something to the board's attention with the new process that we're using with the alternating business agenda. Today, it was the first time we've used our new process under the amended rules of order related to adding an item to an agenda. And Commissioner Brewer, as you heard in her public comments, the chair requested that she give you a heads up. Not necessary, but he wanted to make sure that for transparency, you were aware of that. And so as part of the rules, I wanted you to know that Commissioner Brewer had completed the form that you approved back in March of '25. It was very detailed with addendum. It went through the review process through the county manager's office, myself, looking at it legally, that it met the standard and protocol, and then coming forward at a next regular agenda, or the chair in this case is authorized to be placed on your January 15th. Ordinarily, probably would go to this new process to the 22nd, but we're bringing it forward on the 15th. Normally, that would be to vote to bring it back on a further agenda item, but because of this particular uniqueness of this item and the urgency, there would be a request for a vote on moving forward with the request, if you recall, as to the shelter. So I wanted to tell you this is a little unique than what the procedure had, but is within the procedures to do that, and just to give you that opportunity to know. But the information provided by Commissioner Brewer, I'll get it out as soon as possible today to you and to the public so that we have that uploaded right away, because we were trying to do that 10-day rule to keep it up and give you that transparency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Counsel. Appreciate the comments and the explanation. Thank you very much. For the sake of staff, the board, our guests, we're going to take a quick break at this time. When we come back from our approximate 10-minute break, we're going to reconvene for executive session. And I believe that will be all the items on the agenda. So at this time, we will take a brief recess and see you all in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much. back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your patience. At this time, there's been a request for an executive session, so we'll hear a motion from Commissioner Hanslick.
I move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at 11:38 a.m. for a total period of 10 minutes for the purpose under KSA 754319B2 of consultation with legal counsel, which would be privileged in the attorney-client relationship to discuss a matter involving elections and to reconvene in open session in this room at approximately 11:48 a.m. The county manager, deputy county manager, assistant county manager Aaron Otto, and chief counsel will attend this discussion.
Ellenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick and seconded by Commissioner Ellenbrand. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Ellenbrand.
Ellenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor, none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. We'll be in recess. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Of course. Very good. Ready? All right, welcome back. We are back on the record out of an executive session. At this time, we're going to hear a motion from Commissioner Hanslick.
I move the board authorize the chief counsel to initiate a civil lawsuit on behalf of the county pursuant to KSA 253107B to recover the costs associated with conducting a hand recount of the Prairie Village question submitted for the general election on November 4th, 2025.
Allenbrand, second.
So moved by Commissioner Hanslick, seconded by Commissioner Allenbrand. Seeing no questions, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner Brewer.
Brewer, aye.
Hanslick, aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft. Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
Chairman Kelly.
Aye, that's 7 in favor and none against. Is that consistent with your count?
It is.
Very good. There's no further business on today's agenda, so absent objection from anyone on the board, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.